Whisper where your heart's silent, buried in mine.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Grammar by Dan. My name is Dan, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We're not looking at the rules of grammar, we're looking at philosophy. And the topic of today are three main structures of knowledge. So you know when we talk about knowledge, usually what we're thinking of are different beliefs and how they relate to each other, right? So we say that all these beliefs that are floating around in my head about beliefs about the world, beliefs about religion, beliefs about politics, society, anything, these beliefs have to be structured in some kind of way, correct? And three positions have been proposed. The first is that of the foundationalist, the second is that of the coherentist, and the third is a bit of a mix of the first two called Foundationalism. Alright, so this is, I reckon, to explain foundationalism, this is basically all I'm going to need. So the position is foundationalism, and the root word in foundationalism is foundation, correct? So you know what a foundation is? A foundation is basically like the bedrock, right? The thing in which everything else relies upon and lies upon, and nothing else can be sustained without it. So I gave one of the images in philosophy is that of a house. Okay, it's that of a house, and a house. Yeah, you see my guy. A house relies on foundations, right? And if you put into jeopardy the foundations, then the house gets destroyed, right? But if you have secure foundations, then the house is all good, right? And that's actually one of the positions in the structure of knowledge. It's the idea that we have to start with some certain beliefs, so we have to start with a particular cognitive capacity, such as sense experience, and from there, all our other beliefs can rest upon it. So one of the reasons why people have thought that you needed foundations in knowledge is this idea of the infinite regress, and it's a type of argument, and basically what it says is that, let's say you have a belief, so we call it belief 1. I believe that it's raining outside, okay? Now, every time you have a belief like that, you need to justify it in terms of another belief, right? So, why do you believe that it's raining outside? Because I can see it, because somebody told me, because I looked on the weather app on my phone, or whatever. Anyway, the idea is that whenever you have a belief, any belief, you need to justify that belief. You need to say, I believe this because of this. But the problem, you see, is that if you say because of the weather app, or because somebody told me, or because it's raining outside, using your sense experience, you have to justify that belief. So you see, this is why it's called an infinite regress. So infinite means it just goes on and on and on. Regress means it keeps on, you're digging yourself a bigger hole every time you try to justify a belief. So what the foundationalists proposed is that there has to be a place where this just stops, right? So let's say you go from belief 1 to belief 2, okay? And, whoops, this is smudging. If you say, okay, I have a belief 1, and the reason why I believe that is because of belief 2, and if you say that this is a certain belief, or this is a really good belief that can serve as a foundation, such as, I don't know, maybe something you really know, or something that you're really sure of, then the infinite regress stops. Okay, you don't need to go on, because this is the thing that justifies that first belief. Okay, and to wrap up this section on foundationalism, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a taste of one of the main proponents of a foundationalist structure of knowledge. And that guy is called Descartes. So it's not Descartes or Descartes, it's Descartes. Anyway, what Descartes basically said was that I have figured out a foundation, and I'm going to walk you through these illustrations to try to show you that. So the book where he describes this is called the Meditations. The Meditations, right? And he says a lot more than this, but these are the main points, I think. So, one day Descartes is sitting in his house and he decides to do a little bit of a thought experiment because he's rich and he has nothing else to do. And he says, hey, I want to try to figure out what I really know. Yeah, I've been growing up as an adult and I've been accepting all these beliefs, but I'm really not so sure which ones are true and which ones are false. So I'm going to do a thought experiment, and the thought experiment is this. He basically says, let's propose that there is an evil demon. Like literally he says, let's propose there's an evil demon, and the evil demon is using all his energy and like focusing it on me, and he's warping all my senses. So I can't trust my senses. If I see this board, let's just propose that the evil demon is making it so that the board doesn't exist. I'm just imagining. So Descartes gets really sad and he goes, no, the evil demon makes me think that chairs aren't real and tables aren't real and the fire isn't real, and you see he's crying because he's so sad. So this is called external world skepticism. It's a pretty crazy belief and not many people accept that nowadays, but that's what happens. So Descartes is in the tricky business of trying to escape external world skepticism. He wants to figure out what he really knows about the world, and then he comes up with an idea. So you see, he has his arm up, he's like, I got it. And he basically says, hey, this is the only thing that I know to be true. The thing that I know to be true is that I am thinking, and therefore I exist. Now, the actual term we use in philosophy is the cogito, but this is perhaps the most famous line in all philosophy. I think, therefore I exist. And what this means is that, hey, even if a demon is trying to manipulate me, I'm thinking about it, I'm doubting it, it's all in my head, and if there is somebody that is doubting, then that somebody has to exist. So it's called the cogito. So he goes, yeah. Now, here's an additional problem. If you just think that you exist, then that doesn't seem to be a basis for your other beliefs, right? So it might just be a basis that you exist, but what about the other things? And here's the funny thing that Descartes proposes. Descartes proposes that God exists. And he goes, well, God exists, so God is a supremely good being, and he wouldn't manipulate me in the way that an evil demon would, right? So everything that I see has to be true, because otherwise God would be manipulating me, and that's just not in his nature. So Descartes is all happy now, and he knows that tables and stuff exist. Anyway, what this is called is rationalist foundationalism, okay? So Descartes has an idea, a mental concept of something that really does exist, and then from there, everything else kind of follows. The table exists, the chair exists, and this is a structure of knowledge. So I'll just get rid of this. And you remember that example? Let's do that example again. You have a house, and it's got a window, and it's got a door so you can get in, otherwise a roof, and it's on foundations, right? So when we're talking about rationalist foundationalism, the foundation is reason, or some certain belief, they call it. A reason or a certain belief, and that is called foundationalism. Hey, so that's the end of this video. If you like me talking about stuff that's not grammar in philosophy, well, leave a comment or like the video or watch the video again or do something. I actually found that this was pretty fun for me to do. So anyway, we'll return for the other two structures of knowledge, coherentism and foundationalism, in later videos. But until then, take care. I'm gonna get some lunch.